the recording. If you don't want to be recorded in the meeting, unfortunately, you have to log off. So with that said, thank you all. Today, we are going to have the 12th demo this year of the PCA Library Services. And the topic of today is mainly on the Figma prototype we have for the approval process. So today we have with us Tore, which is our UX designer. He will walk you through that. And it's very important, if you have any feedback on this along the way, that you give it, whether you want to do it in the meeting or afterwards, because this prototype will serve as the basis for the development that we are doing on that track going forward. But before we do that, we also want to share some other stuff with you, and Bård is going to do that. There is some good news. So if you want to say a couple of words, Bård.
Hey, Vivek. Yeah, sure. We have now updated our APIs, enabling Drago to deliver data. So today, we successfully received data from Drago in the production environment. 97 new IMF block types and nearly 1,000 attributes. So if we now go in, can you see my screen? Yeah.
Yes.
So this is now the statistics page of the library. We see we have a total of 127 block types. That is the 97 we received today and the 30 we have previously. So if we now go in and temporary, we could write our favorite transmitter. We see now here that we get 4 results. 3 of those are block types, and 1 is currently an individual. That individual that is now pointing to a Shifos reference that PCA will make available. Currently, this doesn't carry a lot of information, but that will be fixed shortly so that we can go in and see what Shifos says about the temperature transmitter itself. What we received today was these transmitters from Drago. So we have here the temperature transmitter in the product aspect. And now we go in here and we get all this information. We have these 19 attributes and 2 subblocks down here. What is more interesting perhaps is that we also see that we have this replaces link. So now we know that this temperature transmitter replaces an older version. So we can click on this and then we will get the previous version that we had of this temperature transmitter, which was delivered back in August. And here we only have 18 attributes, and we can actually see that there are quite a lot of changes. Some attributes have been removed, some have been added, and we can go back and look at the current version of the temperature transmitter. Yes, so that is excellent to get these data finally in here, and we look forward to the next delivery that I think will come shortly, actually. Yeah, maybe already next week. So with that, I'll hand the word over to Tore.
Yes, thank you, Bård. There we go. Can you guys see my screen now? And you hear me?
Yes.
We can hear and see your screen.
Okay, good. As we're getting a lot of data into our library now, all this data needs to go through a review process for it to be approved and ready for use. So we have designed a review process, which I'm going to demo for you guys today. So I'm just going to quickly click through the steps one would have to go through to actually be able to do a review, and then we can talk a little bit about what it is that I've just done afterwards. So if we are on PCA's home pages, we go to libraries and we find the different libraries that PCA is hosting today. We go to the explore the new library, which is the one that we're working on now. And there we're back to the statistics page that the Bård showed you. And I believe my numbers here in this drawing is actually also correct, updated. But from here, once you've gone into the library, we're able to log into the system. And then we click login. For now, we only have Azure login, but we believe that in the future, it would make sense to just register a normal account with an email address or a pass, and you give your email address and define a password and say where you come from, etc. Or you can sign in with Google. That will be primarily for consumers of data. But if you would like to contribute either with adding new data or proposals to the library, or you would like to review, be a part of the review process, you would have to log in with Azure AD. So we log in with Azure AD, and then you get your own menu based on what you're logged in as. And as long as I'm logged in as a reviewer, or the first version, it will be as a PCA with a PCA account, then you have access to the review content application within the library. The application is basically just, for now at least, a single web page with some features that we believe are sufficient to perform a good enough review on the content that has been submitted. So what are the features on this page? First of all, we have a list of items that have the status submitted. And when something is submitted to the library, that means that it has been sent in by someone. It has been validated by our backend and passed that validation and put into the library. And therefore, it now has the status submitted. And when it has the status submitted, it means that it is waiting to be reviewed. And in the once we publish this list will be very long, because all the content in the library will have the status submitted. So, but we have added a filtering option where you can manipulate what it is that you want to see in this list. So I can click on the filter, and here I can search either by label to find a specific item that I would like to review, or package name. That is something that most of you, or probably maybe even all of you, might not have heard of yet. But it is something that we want to introduce for the senders, the ones that send in new data, that they can add a package name to that data, so that they therefore can group that all the items that they're sending in over a period of time, they can group that together, so that, and when it's ready to be reviewed, they can get in touch with the reviewer and ask them to, can you please review the things that we've sent in? We've called it code name Draga, for instance. So I could write that here. I can also filter by date, the date that it was sent from, to give me everything that was sent in from this date to this date. In the future, we could also, once we have role-based login, etc., we could also filter by sender. We could say that show me everything that Draga has sent in from this date to this date, but this will not be implemented now. And we can also filter by class. But I select some filtering options, I click apply filter, and then my list suddenly becomes easier to work with. It's more relevant for the tasks that I am, as a reviewer, have to work on. I can see up here the different filtering options that I've added, and I can very easily remove those options as well. The list itself contains a label, the name of the item I'm going to review, the date it was sent, who it was submitted by. I have the organization name here, but in the first version, it will probably be the email address of the person actually sending the data through our API. We have the package name that was defined by the sender. We have the type, what type of item is this, and we have the status. And all of the statuses will be submitted in this list. If it has any other status, it's not a job for the reviewer. And then we have an I here. If you click the I, you're being redirected in a new tab to that item within and presented in the library. So if I click this on core, which is an ontology, it would open up and present the core ontology as it is in the library today. The reviewer could then have a look at it, make up their mind of what they think about this item, and go back to the list. And now it's time to make the actual review. So I click review, and now I can either approve it or reject it. If I reject this, I get a reason or information about what it is that I'm about to do and what will happen. So would you really like to reject and then the name of the label? So in this case, it would be core. Rejecting this item will change status of the item in the library from submitted to rejected. So we will not delete it. It will still be in the library, but with the status rejected. It will also reject all items that have dependencies to this item. By that, I mean that if something else is dependent on this item, then that item, I at least believe, should automatically be rejected, but that's still up for discussion. The dependencies that other items that depend on this item, I see here, there are 3. I could click this and actually see what these items were. I'll show that later on when we're trying to approve something. And then I have to give a comment. And when you reject something, a comment is required. So I'm happy with this. I've given my comment. So I click yes, reject this item, and that item is then removed from the list. Review is done on that item. Let's say that we have this IMF block down here. I click on it, I go in, I see that everything looks great here. I can see the attributes.
We can't see your IMF block, but that's probably okay. I'm not sure.
I can, yeah. 2 seconds.
But that's okay. We understand the philosophy behind it. So
I'm basically seeing the temperature transmitter in the library.
Yeah.
And I can see all the data that the library presents about this transmitter.
Yeah.
So I can make up a mind, does everything here look okay, or is not everything okay?
Yeah.
If everything is okay, then I click review and I can click approve.
Yeah.
Now, as you see here, I'm not able to click approve on this item. And that is because this item depends on 3 other items.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would have to expand this and then see the other reference things that this item depends on. And 1 of them have been approved, but 2 of them have not been approved.
Yeah.
So I could approve them fairly easily by clicking here, viewing the information about this item, and then coming back here and then approving it. Once all of these have been approved, then I'm able to approve this. So if I select approve again,
yeah.
I expand this. Once they have all been approved, then and only then can I approve this item. That is very relevant for the IMF types that depend on different or other smaller reference data. Yes, as you can see, we also sort the list here. Here you see the number of items in the list and that it's supported by dependency. And by that, we're going to try and make it possible or sort the items in the list so that if the reviewer work from top to bottom, they will not encounter any dependencies. They won't have to go back. If I start down here, I wouldn't be able to approve this because it has dependency that it would kind of mess up my work. But if I start from top and work my way down, that shouldn't encounter. But if someone gives me, as a reviewer, a call and says that, could you please review these 10 blocks because we need them in production approved now, or maybe not approved now. If they're rejected, but we need to know the status of these 10 blocks right now. That reviewer could easily go here, search by the label of these 10 blocks, do one by one, or search by IMF block and maybe the package name if it only was 10 blocks in that package. Apply that filter and then go directly to that block. Click approve first and then sort out the dependencies. And once they've been sorted out, then he or she could very easily approve this block.
Yeah.
So you could work both ways. You wouldn't have to work top to bottom.
There's one question, Tore, from Jan.
Fire.
Yes, it's more related to a potential workflow. So I guess this approval or rejection could be dependent upon 2 or more people being involved in the decision. Is it possible to have a workflow where 1 or 2 guys review it, give their status, and then a final authority guy, technical authority guy, can do the final approval?
Yes, the long-term plan is that we would like an ontologist and a subject matter expert that is not a part of the organization that have created this data to approve each item.
Okay.
So you would basically have to get this reviewed by 2 people at least.
Exactly.
And those 2 people would have to be from a different organization than you.
Yeah.
That's at least, but we cannot implement that before we have role-based login where we can actually find roles to the different. But I don't think it's I'm not going to answer for the programmers, but in my head, it shouldn't be too difficult once we have that in place. And we could make more complex, or not complex, but have a more strict process for the review, that this and this is required for the review to be approved.
Approved, yes.
But Jan, you were wondering if there was possible to put a 3rd person in the picture as well, right? Was that the question? So that you have 2 people that review the first step, and then you have the technical authority that reviews the second, or the final step.
Yes.
That would be very possible, but I think that would then we would have to define another role that we haven't looked at yet.
Yeah, no, but I think your example, Tore, was okay to me. I understand there is different roles that can be reviewing and at least approve from their point of views.
Yes.
But as Fredrik also understood on my question, it might be that we would have a technical authority that is taking the final approval.
Yeah. And I would also like to just mention that in this first version, in the MVP of the review process, everybody that has access or login access to PCA library or our library would be able to today contribute with data, and technically they could also go in and review their own data. But once we get the role-based, or maybe we could have some sort of if We could look at the email address of the sender, and at least he cannot review his own content. We have to look at this and figure it out. But the first version will not be as strict, and then we can make it stricter as we go along. Any other questions?
Or comments?
This is the time to make your comment. If you don't comment now, I will take it as an this looks good. Continue with it.
Yes. No, I like the user interface, but of course we like to work with a lot of data, with wide tables. As engineers, we love Excel spreadsheets, but this seems slick and good.
Well, the thing is that this is the MVP version of the review process. So we're trying to keep it simple. And in this process, both the ontologist and the engineer will view the data the same way. And they'll view the data in the library as all the other consumers of the library view the data. But once we get this out there and we can start actually going through the review process, they can start coming with feedback on things they like, or hopefully things they don't like, so that we can improve it. And if they tell me the best thing for them is a long spreadsheet of data, then I will
say we have submitted 10 pumps or 30 or not necessarily 30, but 10, 15 temperature transmitters that we would like to review and approve in one go. In this selection, in this user interface, I guess you need to click on them individually.
Yeah, you review one item at a time.
Yes. Yeah. And since this is a template, it should be okay, because it shouldn't be that many temperature transmitters in your template.
No, but it shouldn't be too easy either, because we have to make sure that the review process is one of the most important processes that happens to ensure that the quality in the database is of high quality. So and of course we could make it so that you just check, complete. But I'm afraid that then you would have to trust that, okay, you've clicked and you've had a look at everything and you're happy with everything, just select all. Approved. That would be,
it's always a trade-off.
It would be the easiest experience or user experience, but I don't think it would necessarily give the highest quality of data in the library.
There's another question or comment as well, Tore, from Helge.
Yeah. Now I think this looks good, and as you said, Tore, this is an MVP. So we just need to be aware that it's not ready baked yet. So, but could there be a note on here that it is MVP or first draft, or what you would like to call it, just so people know that this is probably not the final?
Yes. Am I still sharing screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
So we could do it something like review content MVP, and we could say what we mean with MVP. Because there are very many different opinions on what an MVP is. And in my opinion, we have included features here that doesn't necessarily have to be in place for it to be an MVP, like the filtering options. For me, the value is in actually taking something that has the status submitted and changing that to rejected or approved. That's the value. But the other features is just to add a more easier work process for the reviewers, so that they hopefully can get the work done a little bit quicker and only concentrate on the things that matter for or the task that they have. Because when we launch this, everything in the database today or the library today will have this data submitted, so everything needs to go through a review process. So it will be a lot of work in the beginning, but we can start in the small and just get experience as we go along and make changes. And if that is a spreadsheet, then that is a spreadsheet. I hope, but what I do believe is that if you're an ontologist and you click on the eye to view the item, or you're an engineer, I believe that maybe those two roles would like to see the data in different ways for them to make a quick and easy mind if this is okay or not.
Yeah.
So, but that is something that I think we can tweak further down the road. But I think we have an acceptance on starting the development here, so.
Absolutely. Yes. Thumbs
Good.
up.
Are there any other comments or questions? If you don't feel like taking it up in the demo now, you can of course reach out to us afterwards. Okey-doke. If there's nothing more, then I think we can close off the demo. Hope everyone has a great weekend.
Very good.
Same.
Spot on
Bye-bye.
time.
Time.
Very good.
Thanks.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.